So, can you all see me? Can you all see me? Where am I? Point to me. Point to where you see me. Point to where you see me. Where do you see me? Do you see me out here, or do you see me inside of you?
I knew it was true. Get out of my head.
Get out of my head and into my heart. Yes, perception is internal. Everything we experience happens inside of us. Even though we perceive it, we imagine it to be, we define it as being external to us. I see it out there. But what is out there? What is here? This is just light striking something, reflecting through your lens to your retina, upside down, two of them about 9 inches apart and very small. So that's what you should be seeing, is two of me, very small, upside down, about 9 inches apart. But you don't, I don't think. Because the mind then, your brain reconciles those two images and creates a single upright image that can be either fuzzy or in focus, depending on the nature of the signal that it receives. So, we live in a culture that values information. We say we live in the information age. But information is just, what is information? It's a rehashing of something that somebody experienced at some point. It's this constant circulation of impressions that people have received at some point in time. And we gather it together and we assemble it and we organize it and we sort it and we categorize it so that in particular situations we can regurgitate it and seem like we have some competency. But we've been doing this for quite a while. And we've even figured out how to move information from one point on the globe to another very quickly. That's what our technology has brought us. It's brought us an acceleration of the transfer of information. Where is God? What? Say what? It was a non sequitur. Where is God? What is God? God, first of all, the word God scares the bejesus out of some people because we've been hit over the head with God. God is this great, towering, bearded old man. It's an absurd concept, and yet we still cling to it. We still plead with it, with this concept of the omnipotent old man. But let's be real for a second. What is there in the universe that has any substance to it? All right, let me ask you another question. If a tree falls in the woods and there's no one to hear it, is there a noise? That question is pointing to the question I'm asking about what is substantive in the universe, in the multiverse. If there were no... Hello, are you out there? I'm not hearing answers. You see, you're not taking the bait. Awareness, consciousness. Without consciousness, there is no multiverse. There are no galaxies, there are no planets, there are no stars, there are no suns, there are no moons. Without awareness, without consciousness. The quantum physicists tell us that the simple act of observation of a phenomena changes the phenomena. Right? Light is a particle when observed and a wave when unobserved. How do we know? Through observation. How do we observe the unobserved? They have ways, they have their tricks. But even that is observation, so we really don't know what we don't know about the nature of reality. We only know what we observe, what we experience, what we are aware of. There are things that I can do on my computer that I'm not aware of. Therefore, I cannot do them on my computer because I'm not aware of them. Awareness is the key to everything. Consciousness. So, where's God? What is God? God's a job description. It's not a name. We always capitalize it, right? God, capital G. Really? It's a job description. It's the cat who runs the universe, of course. The top boss. The boss man. And even that's absurd. So we have for a long time, everybody in this room at some point in your life has said all is one, right? Anybody here has never said all is one? There are no hands up. So everybody at some point in their life has said all is one. Well, if all is one, and there's this notion that we have that in this oneness, there is some awareness. So that's what some would call God. The awareness, the consciousness that exists, that is aware of and conscious of what there is to be conscious of. My great joy, my glee over the years in being an excellent debater with fundamentalist Christians, my favorite foils. I say, tell me about this God. There's God and then there's the devil. Really? So there are two entities. There's God and there's the devil. Yes. And so it's the forces of light against the forces of darkness. We have this battle queuing up. And I say, so then God is not infinite. Oh no, God is infinite. Well, if God is infinite, how can there be somewhere there God is not? So if there's God and the devil, that makes no sense. God cannot be infinite and not be all things. It's illogical. It's illogical. Right, David? Correct me if because I could be tripping. You don't know. You don't know what I had for breakfast.
Oh, yeah.
Breakfast and champagnes.
We talk about
So, God is the consciousness of the universe. All the consciousness that is God. So, who are you? You're God. You're God? No, you're God. Wait a minute. You're God? God. God's all over this room.
God's over here.
So, are you aware of everything there is to be aware of in the multiverse? No. So you are God, but you are not all of God. You are part of God. You are a unique subdivision of consciousness, because you're only conscious of so much. You're not infinitely conscious yet. So, what is God's game? What's God up to?
To discover itself.
To discover itself. You don't think God knows himself? All right, here's the deal. We try to parse this with our information processing device. God is non-local. God is beyond rational thought. God is beyond information. So in an effort to explain this thing that's just non-local, beyond rational thought, beyond information, we have spent centuries trying to document God through scriptures, to explain God through our stories that we call holy books, divinely inspired writings. And perhaps they are. But we have come to the point where for much of the world, we've taken these stories and we've solidified them, crystallized them, and put them up on an altar, painted them with gold, and worshiped them. Might as well put horns on it and call it a golden calf. That's the problem with Scripture. That's the problem with religion, is that it creates false gods. It creates symbols that don't even come close to the reality of what it is we're trying to grasp. So if God is consciousness, and we are part and parcel of that consciousness, would it not seem logical then, if we are to know God, we must know God through our own consciousness, not through information, not through, Jesus said, yeah, they will come and tell you, lo, he is here, or he is here. Don't be fooled by that, he said. After I condemned Scripture, now I'm quoting it.
Yeah, right.
Scripture does point. I don't say there's anything wrong with Scripture. There's nothing wrong with information. Information can point. But it is only through self-awareness, it is only through our own consciousness that we can approach any kind of communion with God. And that is available because we are God, part and parcel. Even these rent-a-suits, these rent-a-meat suits that we drive around, these too are part and parcel of God. And if you don't think so, think about what a miracle your physical being is, your mental, physical, emotional being, your persona. That thing with your name and your birthday on it, and all of your organs, and all of your history, and all of your feelings, and all of your thoughts, all of your memories, all of your anticipations. Think of what a miracle that is. 80 trillion cells acting in concert in every moment to sustain this greater being, but that, by the way, exists for them only in Scripture. Only in the coding of their DNA. And yet, they toil ceaselessly, tirelessly, to support this being. Does God breathe? The breath has been pointed to as a key to a lock. And like any key, if you didn't understand the mechanism of a lock and key, if you didn't have any concept of a lock and key, and you were trying to get through this door, but it wouldn't open, and I handed you this little piece of metal, and I said, this will get the door to open, how would that work for you? Only when you have the awareness of the mechanism can you use the key to open the door. Only when you understand the mechanism of breath can you begin to use it in a way that's going to open up your availability, open up the door to you having an experience, a direct experience of the divine. Does God breathe? In a binary world, with binary language, we try to understand things through the language, and through the language we can only understand unity in a binary way. And therein lies the rub. So, to say God breathes is to create a duality in God, an in-breath and an out-breath. So the concept of God breathing is not 100% valid in the traditional way we think of as valid. But it's an interesting way to perceive the nature of something that's beyond perception, that's beyond information. But if God breathes, think of it this way. On the in-breath, God is having experience. God is experiencing on the in-breath, and on the out-breath, God is expressing, creating. So, experiencing, expressing. And think of how you operate. Do you not also experience your life in this way? You experience, you have sensation, you have experiences, you have encounters, you have things that impact you, all of your senses. You hear things, you see things, you feel them, you touch them, you smell them, you taste them, and you perceive them. And then we also have, as humans, we have this compulsion to give expression to ourselves, to express, to create. If I asked all of you to stop, don't talk for a week, don't let a single word come out of your mouth for a week, how many of you could actually pull that off? You'd have to have serious motivation. There'd have to be some reward at the end of it. So we have this compulsion to be expressive, to say things, to do things, to create vectors of motion, force, and shape, and form, and of course, the great human drama is to control things. We have a natural inclination to give expression to our experience. So in this way, we are acting in a divine manner. We are experiencing and we are expressing, just like God. And in fact, we are the nodes of experience and expression for that consciousness. That's the subset of the consciousness that we are. And you can say, well, not everything that I say is God-like. Some of the stuff I say is rather poor, blathering, emotional, untrue. It doesn't make any difference. It's still expression. It's expression of something. There is no expression that is invalid. Every expression has a source, has a root, has a cause, has something that impels it. Have you ever said stuff and said, God, I wish I could take those words back? No, I'm the only one here that's ever had that experience. But those words were a perfect expression of whatever state of consciousness you were in at that moment. And then, of course, has anyone ever said anything to you that you would like to take and put back in their mouth and have them swallow? Same thing. Those words came out as a result of some inner compulsion in them. It really has nothing to do with you. Even though they may be shouting your name before each epithet, it has nothing to do with you. It has to do with what's in them. It's coming out of them. It's coming out of them because it's what's in them. And what's in them is divine. It's 100% pure divinity. We are in the dance of divinity. And there are a couple of ways to go through the dance. Right? You can stumble around, call it dance, or you can get in tune with the music of your life and dance in a rhythmic way with that music. So what's the music in your life? There is music in your life. Is it punk rock or is it Bach? Is it slasher rock? Is it free jazz? So the music that you have in you, the music of your dance, is being played by your soul. And you, as the divine being that you are, can dance to that music or not. It's your choice. But you can't dance to what you can't hear. You can't respond to what you can't perceive. You cannot make choices based on knowing you do not have. And so the goal, I believe, is to find that door. Find the key. Put it in the door, in the lock, and turn it the right way, and that door will open. And that's the door to your consciousness connecting with its source. When your consciousness connects with your source, oh, the dance you will do. You will become prima ballerina. Where is that consciousness? Where's that door? How does that door operate? The door of consciousness is consciousness itself. If you're looking for the divine, look at consciousness. What are you conscious of? What are you conscious of at any moment? You're conscious of sensation for the most part. What am I seeing? What am I hearing? What am I smelling? What am I tasting? What am I feeling? Or what am I feeling? Emotion. So the five senses plus emotion is what we are conscious of most of the time. And we identify with that sensation. We identify with that feeling. We identify with those images. We are the person having these experiences. How do we know that? Because we're aware of it. Are you not aware that you are a person having experiences? Hello? What is that awareness? What is the awareness of your experience? What is the awareness that you are a character with a name and a story? Let's go that far. Is it not true that you are a character that has a name and a story, a history? Yes? Yes? History or a herstory? It's up to you. So, how do you know that? Where is that point what is that thing? What is the substance? What is the essence that is aware of you as an experiencer and an expressor. This is the door. And if you sit in front of that door and you keep returning to that door, and you understand that this door is the key to your realization, your self-realization. Self-realization. That's capital S, self. Who am I? I am a person. How do I know that? I'm aware of that. Who's aware of that? I am. Who is I? I am that which is aware. I am that which is aware. How do you know that? Is awareness itself observable? Who or what is observing that? You see, this is, what's that movie they made about the different depths of the dream state? You know, going into someone's dream state and you keep going to Inception. Huh? Inception, yeah. This is Inception in the other direction. This is the path of all yoga. This is the path of all the great spiritual teachers. This is the path they have taught. Awareness is the key to self-realization. Once that realization happens, all of your experience changes. The mode in which you experience your life changes. Everything you thought was big becomes small. Everything you thought was ephemeral comes into focus. Everything you thought was beyond your ken suddenly comes into your domain. This is what all the great teachers have taught. How do we access that? The key to that door. The key to that door is accessible through the ability of the mind to focus. To focus on that concept of who I am. I am I. I that am aware of awareness itself. That is the path of exploration that leads to self-realization. If this seems murky, that's okay. Because your brain is trying to make sense of it. But I'm calling all of us to go beyond the limits of our brain. Where is consciousness? Scientists have been looking for it for a long time. They've searched every centimeter of the brain. They cannot find it in the brain. Where is consciousness? Does it cease when we die? I have had the unique and wonderful experience of having had 3 lengthy and intimate conversations with people who have been declared dead. And I've told this same story in crowds of people and have had on probably a half a dozen occasions had people walk up to me afterwards and say, I'm one of those, and you're right. But here's the story. These people were declared dead. Organic activity had ceased. But within a matter of minutes, the spirit of life kicked back in and they survived. And they lived to tell the tale. And of the 3 conversations I had over the last 15 years, none of the individuals knew the other 2. Conversations were years apart. Each one described a very similar experience of being out of the body, but being completely aware of everything that was going on around them. Awareness did not cease, even though organic activity had. Every one of those people, at one point in the conversation, looked at me and got this big silly grin on their face and said, I'll tell you what, I no longer have any fear of death, because I've been over that threshold, and I can tell you there's nothing over there except an unconditional love and peace and acceptance. Now, not everybody who has what we call the near-death experience has the same story, but the vast majority of people do who've been down that road. So consciousness appears on anecdotal evidence to persist beyond the viability of the physical body. So we like to say, we were taught that, well, your awareness exists within the scope of your physical body. Because you're aware in your brain, right? Although they have not found the center of consciousness. So I offer you the opposite viewpoint. That we as physical, emotional, energetic, mental, psychological, and spiritual beings exist within consciousness. Consciousness doesn't exist within us. We exist within consciousness. Because without consciousness, there is nothing. Shiva. Nothing. There is no I. There is no me. There is no person. There is only consciousness, and everything else gets created inside of that consciousness. This is the path to liberation. This is the path to self-awareness. As Billy pointed out, it was that Thich Nhat Hanh that you were reading? No. Anyway, the reading she was doing was a Buddhist reading about there is no persona, there is no experience. It's all existing within the scope of awareness. So the pursuit in your inner exploration, the pursuit is what is aware? Who am I as awareness? And then once you get to that point, ask the question, am I observable as well? Am I as consciousness being observed? And what is that point of observation? This is the path to self-realization. It's simple. It's not easy because it takes, how do you get to Carnegie Hall? Practice, practice, practice. I'm learning to play the piano, and I'm a dunce. I'm a complete dunce. I can read the notes, I can identify that that's a G, and I can see that that's a G, and I can push that finger and hit the G. But to put a score in front of me and have me play both clefs with both hands and have it done in real time, it seems like an impossible task. But through diligence, through discipline, and through the development of concentration and focus, I will, at some point, be able to play both clefs, both hands in real time. Of this I am confident, because I see others do it. And I know that they started out not knowing. So this is an accessible pathway if you're willing to do the work. And as I pointed out in the newsletter, and if you didn't get a newsletter, talk to me after the service, that all of the stuff we are seeing in the outside world that seems so ugly, so hideous, so teeth-grindingly unjust to us, is pointing to an inward explanation, because it's all projections of the unresolved shadow we are carrying, each of us. So, to get that shadow integrated takes serious and consistent inner exploration. We're pointing to a direction, because that's as much as we can do with words. And so, if you feel drawn to this, try it out. Sit quietly for 10 minutes with the concept I. And if you want to start with all the things I am not. I as the ultimate observer of experience, the ultimate experiencer of experience. What am I not? Because I, the God I, is constant, is consistent, doesn't change. Anything that changes is observed, is phenomenal. Start there. Observing phenomena. And saying, there's something else I am not. Process of elimination. Sooner or later, the door will open. When that happens, your experience and your expression both will shift. You will begin to dance like the prima ballerina you were designed to be. So,